Welcome to Scare Talk, a horror movie podcast for horror film reviews, ratings, rankings, and rumors. Now for your hosts, Danny, Joel, and Katrina.
All right, this is Scare Talk. I am Danny, and I am here with Japanese Joel.
Hey guys, what's up? All right.
Yeah, you guys didn't know. You can't.
Apparently,
tell. We've got Katrina with the camera.
Okay.
You got the handheld camera going.
Yeah.
And we are joined today by a special guest from Sledgehammer Horror. We have Killer Ken Sledge.
Let's go. I'm so excited to be here. I can honestly say in the years that we've been doing Sledgehammer Horror, I've never, ever done a top blank found footage film. So this is my first time ever doing this, covering the subgenre. So I'm
nice.
very excited to be doing this with you guys.
All right.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, great. Glad to have you on. So as Ken said, we're going to be doing our top 5 found footage horror films between the 4 of us. So we're going to go around the horn. First, before we get into it, if you haven't already subscribed and liked and commented and all of that stuff on Sledgehammer Horror, then make sure to go find them on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It's normally Ken and Ashley, just Ken today, but usually they're a couple and they do a lot of fun stuff. They have guests on all the time, and so yeah, go ahead and find them and support their show as well.
That would be rad.
All right. Cool. Well, we're going to start with the guest for his. Actually, we're going to start with honorable mentions. We each have a few. So, Ken, why don't you tell us a couple of films that didn't make your list, but you want to mention?
Okay, like a couple that I want to mention that I just couldn't find the heart to put on here. More of the mainstream, Blair Witch, Cloverfield. I love those films. I think that they're great. But for my honorable mentions, I have Paranormal Activity, Next of Kin. I feel like this one is really overshadowed in this franchise. And I think the costume design in this movie is great. You go to this Amish community, and it's not like you just go to Walmart and be like, I want to buy Amish clothes. So they had to go and create and make every single piece of clothing. And it was just amazing what they were able to do in this film. And it's genuinely scary. I feel like this film is really scary. There's not a lot of slow-paced moments to this film. And then the other one is the original The House is October Built. I have a lot of fun with this movie. I love the idea of going to look for the major haunts, the big one. I like the idea of that. And I think that the cast is great. I love everything that they did with this film. So for me, it's going to be Paranormal Activity, Next of Kin, and The House is October Built.
Okay. I have not seen The House is October Built. I keep seeing that popping up as something to watch, but I haven't pulled the trigger on it. So
is that a Matt Dillon movie?
Is Matt
No,
Dillon?
There was one that sounded like similar, I guess, in title, but
okay.
Yeah, no, this is what you have. It's mostly it's very indie. You have a lot of friends that are going together to look for this, the big haunt, the big scare, and they end up biting off a little more they can chew with this group. So it's very fun, very scary, and it's half documentary, half movie that started off as a documentary type thing. So it's a lot of fun to go back and revisit.
Okay.
Nice.
I'm going to mention a similar movie to that. And Joel, I think you're thinking of The House Jack Built.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
That's what you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Jack October, same thing.
Yeah, same. Yeah. October could be a person's name, right?
Yeah, Jack-o'-lantern, October, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So, Katrina, what are some honorable mentions?
Okay. So my honorable mentions, the first honorable mention I have to do is one that could have made the list if I haven't gone so long in my life hating this movie. So technically it should be on the list as a top 5, but I have hated this movie for so long that I cannot get myself to put it on the top 5. So it will be honorable. It is, I'm sure Joel and Danny already know, VHS, the first one. Only the first one. What is that one actually called? VHS?
It's just called VHS.
VHS.
So VHS. I have hated this movie for years since I saw him watching it, and it was just disgusting to me, especially just because of how terrible the guys treated the women in the movie. It was just horrible. And I was like, I can't believe you love this movie. And we just started dating. And so I'm like, this is the type of guy you are.
Upskirt.
So I just have hated it for so long. But when we were doing the last VHS movie, he finally got me to watch it again. And I'm like, every time we kept talking about this, I kept thinking about these different ones that were in VHS. And I'm like, darn it, I keep thinking about those. Those were actually good. So it's honorable.
I
In
like
comparison to the later ones.
Yeah,
VHS
it's
is a
definitely
masterpiece.
honorable comparison to the later ones, but it is not an honorable movie to like. I will say.
I feel like it's an honorable movie to like. I feel like there's no honorable male characters to like.
Yeah.
The men in this movie
Yes.
are just what I love about that though, like the juxtaposition of it is like, yeah, these guys are huge piles of shit, but at the same time, like when they get their comeuppance, you're like, yes.
Yeah.
Do it again. Like, and so I get what you're
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
Adrian. As a husband, a father of young ladies, I get it. You're like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other one that I put on here is one that we actually just watched. And I find myself really liking this style. This one is Unfriended. So this one is
The dark web.
Oh,
Yeah, you like the second one.
oh,
Unfriended
okay.
the dark
Unfriended the dark web.
Oh,
So
okay,
it's
part
where
two.
they're So it's where they're like, the style is they're on the computer. And so like in this one, he's Skyping, but he's also like doing some like Facebook stuff. So it's pretty much his computer screen and seeing all the stuff that he's doing on his computer screen. And like, there's these different chats going on. And so it's a lot to keep up with, which I typically wouldn't like. Which is kind of why it's more on the honorable, and because I just watched it. So it's just fresh. But I really enjoyed it. And it really does like get you nervous. Like you're like, oh my gosh, like respond to this person, and no, don't do that.
Answer the chat. Yeah.
I totally thought I was gonna hate both those movies. I was like, these are gonna be so dumb, and I was like, damn, those are pretty good. Those are fun. Like,
Yeah.
it's entertaining to watch.
All right, Joel, what do you got? Honorable.
Okay, so honorable mentions. I've got funny that you mentioned next of kin, because I actually have the first Paranormal Activity on my list of honorables. I like the movie more, for its like behind the scenes stuff than I actually like the movie. I love that they built it they made it for such a like very cheap amount. Like they spent less money than the first Terrifier movie, and that was very low as well, like $20,000, but it made like $200 million at the box office. So I respect that. I'm not a huge fan of the franchise. It's been a while since I've watched them all, but I do like respect the first one, at least for that. Enough to put it as an honorable mention. And there are some creepy moments in there too, but I saw the first and third one in theaters, and let me tell you, when people scream over a door slightly opening, it's a little ridiculous. People in the theaters, it's like, okay, calm down, nothing's happening yet.
I would not want to live with you. If you're screaming over a door slightly opening, we're probably
Yeah,
not.
exactly. Yeah, no. and there was a lot of that happening in the theaters. Next one is Creep, which
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like Creep. Creep was a really good one. It's a very simple story, but done very effectively. And yeah, I loved it. And my third one, and it's mostly because I love M. Night. It's The Visit.
Yeah.
I love I love his attempt at a found footage film, and I like the movie too. The movie was entertaining and had some pretty intense scenes in it. And I'm, he's had, some not so great movies lately or in the past, but I'm always still an M. Night fan. So
Yeah.
I like most
So-
of what he's
Danny's
done that I've
laughing
seen.
about this though.
Yeah, I'm laughing about this because okay, we're gonna have to tell a quick little story. So there's a scene in that movie. Okay, it's a
I don't like
spoiler
everything in
if
the
you
movie.
And I haven't seen this, so
if you don't want to know, just skip ahead a few minutes. But there is someone gets a diaper smashed in their face.
oh, it's that one.
Yeah.
a full diaper. And-
Are you gonna tell the story?
yeah, real quick. So I watched that with our kids, and Katrina wasn't there. And then later on, I think it was the same day or maybe the next day, we went out to lunch, and they were telling her that this happened to me, that I got a diaper slammed in my face while I was at work because I work with kids. And I'm thinking she's kind of just playing along with the joke like it actually happened. But no, she's believing it. She's believing the joke. And they said, oh, yeah.
Because it's something that could happen in your job.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, because I go to people's homes, and I was like, yeah, I had to like take a shower at their house, and and just like believing it. And she's like, why didn't you tell me this? And I'm like, are you serious? Like, you actually believe these kids right now? So anyway,
But he didn't say that. He didn't say that. He's going
I
along
went
with it.
because I thought you were going along with it to
Yeah.
That's
tease their
great.
joke.
That's
Yeah,
great.
and I was really getting upset because
Yeah.
I'm like, all this happened at work, and you didn't think to even tell me. You took a shower at somebody else's house, and you didn't tell me this.
Yeah, that scene. I almost threw up at that scene.
That
That
is
is so
rough.
rough.
So yeah, so it's
Oh,
funny you brought
man.
that one up. Okay, so for me, honorable mentions, The Den. I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's one of those on the laptop screen, on the computer screen type of movies. It came out years back. It's on Hulu, I believe. That's where I saw it, at least years back. It's similar to Unfriended. This woman gets a grant to do research on this up and coming website where you just get randomly placed with people from all around the world and you can chat with them. And she keeps getting this random person. It's just a picture of them, and they're not talking and they're just typing, but it's very cryptic and weird. And every time she goes on, she keeps getting the same person. And she does some research into who this person is, and things start to unravel throughout the movie. It's very good. It goes like pretty dark. It's something that bugs me about the found footage genre is a lot of them don't stay true to found footage. A lot of them, it's like multiple cameras going on.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get like a phone. Sometimes it'll be a camera from a security, So this movie does some of that, but it is a very underseen movie, so I wanted to mention it. So The Den. And then we'll go with The Last Exorcism
You hadn't even chosen yet.
for another honorable.
The Last.
I think it's one of the scarier ones. The ending is just so dark and scary. How it all gets resolved. So it definitely had a lasting impression on me. If you don't know what it is, a guy who does like fake exorcisms. He's a pastor. He goes around doing fake exorcisms for payment, and then he goes and does one that maybe isn't so fake. He doesn't believe in possession.
Is that the one where he does it on a TV show?
No, that's what was the name of that one? I can't remember the name of that one, but
yeah, that one,
I know what you're talking about. No, it wasn't that one.
Okay.
It's
Doesn't he have a streaming thing?
No,
then I'm thinking
he was
something
filming
else.
it. They're filming it, but he goes around and he's a pastor, and he goes around to different places who, people seek him out as an exorcist, and he basically believes that it's just all in their head. It's not an actual thing that's happening. So he has like little tricks, like he'll have smoke pop up and different things like that. And then, things get real. So yeah. It's a good one. It's scary. All right. So now we can get into the real lists. Go back to you, Ken. What is number 5?
Number 5 for me is The Taking of Deborah Logan. I knew nothing about this movie. My nephew was over one night and he was like, "Hey, let's watch a scary movie." And I clicked on that one and we just watched it. And the basis of the movie is this team goes in to try to figure out what's going on. Deborah Logan is the mother in the movie, and she has Alzheimer's, dementia, they believe, and she's slowly withering away. Come to find out there's a lot more going on than just Alzheimer's. And this has one of the genuinely just a scary, scary moment with a mouth elongating that I still think is just an amazing practical effect, an amazing shot in the movie. And it really creeped me out. It genuinely creeped me out as we were watching that night. So I have to give my love to The Taking of Deborah Logan at number 5.
Nice.
Okay. Good one. I know I've seen it once, but it's been a while. But I
had fun with it.
Like it.
I remember that the mouth scene scared me. I was like, "Oh, damn!" Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I need to
that's
watch
the
it when I think I've
best.
seen it.
Yeah, it's the best when it's just random, right? You just put it on randomly, and
Right.
it's like, oh wow, this was good.
Yeah, this turned out to be really good. And I like those scenes better when I get like a visceral scare rather than a jump scare. Like when you can really have me watch something and I'm just like, oh, like I get for real unsettled rather than just like, I'm scared for a second. I'm pissed off because that was stupid. The visceral type of scare is one of my favorite things. So, and that did it for me. I thought it was really well done.
Okay, awesome, good pick. Katrina, what do you got?
Okay, so I'm gonna, I have to say something. I haven't watched very many of these found footages. Hearing you guys go through your honorables and stuff, whatever. I haven't watched very many of these. I'm realizing.
Okay.
So my list is gonna be pretty, I feel like basic and like mainstream, maybe. I don't know. So with that, my next one is Host, and that one I think it came out in 2020. And it was actually done as if it was during the pandemic. Well, it was during the pandemic, and it was all on Zoom. And just the way that they were able to create this movie on Zoom, and they were doing like a seance, and then it was, stuff was really going on and everything. And it was creepy, and I think that they did a really good job at like getting the feels in. There were some, the jump scares and whatever, but I think it was so creative to do it on Zoom during a time that we're all on Zoom.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much what we all were stuck doing. And so then
very relatable.
Yeah. So it was I thought it was really cool that they did that, and
it took
very innovative.
Took advantage of the situation to be able to make a movie like that. And I mean, I don't know, it just really felt like, dude, could this happen? We're all like, you can't get together with all your friends, so you might be doing like a Zoom game night, or Zoom with your family or whatever.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like, and then you're like, dude, we've done so many Zoom game nights. Let's do something crazy.
Yeah,
Let's do
seance.
something fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god.
I felt pretty attacked in the first 10 minutes of that movie because their friend comes on TV and they're like, "Hey, look, he's got a twat knot." I was like, "What was that? what happened?"
It's all good. I got a little something back here too.
I was like, "They called that a what now?"
All right, Joel, number 5.
All right, number 5 for me is As Above, So Below. I love this movie. I was kind of wanting to put it lower, but I like the other ones a little bit more. So 5 was where it was at. A group of people go to I think they're searching for something, and they go down into the catacombs, and they end up reaching the actual gates of hell. And and it's a pretty fun movie. I liked it. So
That movie got me with the claustrophobia.
yeah,
Like when they're climbing, I can't remember what they're trying to do. They're trying to climb through something, and it's just all rocks, and it just keeps getting smaller and smaller, and they get like stuck in there, and it's like
yeah.
that was tough.
It's like Willy Wonka.
Just with a little less chocolate. It was weird.
All right, good pick. And it's my turn.
Yeah. It's
All right, look at my list real quick. Okay, we've got VHS number 5.
Here we go. Number 5. Oh,
Yeah, number 5. Yeah, VHS. We kind of talked about it a little bit already, but it was one of those ones where it was like kind of a new idea. The whole anthology isn't a new idea, but the whole found footage anthology is kind of a new idea at the time. And the idea of just putting a tape in and seeing what's on it. And these events, these little short stories are what's on it is just terrifying. They were all done very well as far as sticking to true found footage. And then there's like kind of the story that kind of ties it all together, which I thought was interesting. And I wish they would have expanded on in the franchise, where they're like trying to find this certain tape and and then the old guy that's there, and then he disappears, and then it's like, but then the movie kind of just doesn't do anything with that. And I wish the franchise expanded and had a an ongoing story, but it didn't happen. VHS 2 kind of touched on it a little bit, but the other ones definitely not.
That's another one.
It was scary too. Each of them has their own value, and then it launched some careers too. Some big names came out of the original VHS. So
yeah, I was gonna say that's another one that I appreciate, like the backstory of, like the fact that VHS was created for first coming like horror directors, give their come up with a short story and we'll put them all together in this one movie. And that's it. It lost steam after the second movie, but I mean, it's just
always watch them to see if they're going to be any good.
Yeah, for sure. Every time they release, but it's getting to a point now where they're actually getting like big name directors to direct these short stories. It's like, that's not what this was about. So,
right.
But,
and it's getting worse with those.
Yeah, and they're getting worse. Stories and
money over passion, baby.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we're at number 4. Ken, what is yours?
Mine's a recent film, and I think it's scary. It's hilarious. It's Deadstream. This movie is so much fun. You talk about the lowest of low budget. Like, the writer director is also the star. He's also the composer of the film. And it's a lot of nods to like the old Evil Dead 2. There's some nods to that in here. great practical effects, moments that genuinely made me laugh out loud. And it took me by surprise how much I really liked this movie. I kept having people recommend it to me, like, bro, you got to check out Deadstream. I know you're not a huge fan of found footage, but you're going to love this movie. And I watched it and I did. I genuinely had so much fun with this movie. And you have a protagonist that is so hard to root for because he's such a douchebag. Like, he is such a
He's so annoying.
He's a genuine piece of shit. And like, it's so funny because you finally think, so I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys, but he's a disgraced YouTuber who did something really shitty on a video and got canceled. And so he's trying to get back into good graces with people. And you think he finally understands, like, wow, I'm not a good person. And then he looks at the camera and goes, I haven't been a great person. So to make up for it, I'm dedicating this episode to the blacks and the Mexicans. And you're like, God damn it, dude. Like, you were this close. You were this close to pulling it off.
Oh,
and then
man.
you went down that road. Like, and just the way that, but he plays him with such charisma that you don't want anything bad to happen to him. Like, you realize that he's just an idiot by nature, but you don't want nothing bad to happen to him. So,
Yeah.
and I love the story. I love the diary. I love the how in depth they go without being like super exposition dump on things. So yeah, I had a great time with it. When I hear him say, let's demonetize this bitch, I laugh every time. I think it's the greatest line of almost any movie ever. And the way that he delivers, let's demonetize this bitch, is so fantastic. So yeah, number 4 for me, a movie I can talk about all day long, is Deadstream.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, Katrina, I don't think you've seen that
No.
one. Yeah, we got to watch that one.
I haven't seen
I haven't
most
either.
of these.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
as
good.
someone that's not a huge found footage person, Deadstream is great because it mixes horror comedy just as, like, the horror elements are scary. Like, there's some genuine, very real scary moments, and the comedy is genuinely funny. It's not just like let's add a one-note joke in here to break the tension. Like, the comedy is really funny and it really lands. So a husband and wife director writer team, and they pulled it off really well. It's very well made, and I've watched it 2 or 3 times, and that's usually not me. Usually I'm like, hey, let's watch it, review it, be done. But this is like a comfort movie. I'll put it on if I'm writing or something. So yeah, it's very fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. All right, number 4.
All right.
Were we on 4?
We're on 4.
3.
Yeah.
4?
We're on
We're on
4.
four.
Yeah,
4.
we're
Okay.
still on
We're
4.
on 4. Katrina, number 4.
Okay. Number 4 for me is Paranormal Activity. The first one. I do love this franchise. And I didn't watch this until later in life. I didn't watch it when it first came out, but I really enjoyed this movie. I remember there were some characters that are pretty annoying in the movie, but I just loved how this movie was done. I was creeped out. I was like, it really got me wanting to watch the rest of the franchise. I think when I watched this, then we like just continued to watch each one down the line. And I enjoyed most of them. I really did enjoy Paranormal Activity. So that's my number 4. Yeah. I kind of wanted it to be higher, but the other ones won.
Yeah. Was I think it was Blumhouse's first movie? It was
I think it
first
was.
I think it might have been their first huge hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the trailer for Paranormal Activity?
I remember MySpace was around when it came out, and I remember
the first trailer was literally just people screaming in a movie.
Yeah.
They showed nothing of the movie. They're like, what are they screaming at? Come watch this movie. And to this day, I'm still like, that is the most brilliant marketing you could ever do. Like, you're giving away nothing, but you have people so intrigued to come watch your movie. Like, it was just the most brilliant marketing technique in the world. And it worked, obviously. Like you said, you talked about the budget that it had.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like when the Blair Witch came out. And, you know, nobody knew if it was real or not. We didn't have Google in our pocket to look it up.
Yeah.
So they were able to market these movies in such a different way. And, God, those were such amazing marketing days.
I remember that was on the news. The story of the Blair Witch Project was on the news. And it's like, these people went out and filmed the story and are lost. And it's like, what? This is like basically a snuff film you're gonna put out on in theaters. Like,
And they're playing it at my MJR Cinema in Adrian. What?
All right,
oh,
cool.
man.
Good one. Good
All
one.
right. There we go.
Joel, number 4.
This one's already been talked about, but I'm gonna say it: The Last Exorcism.
Okay.
I think it's a fun movie overall, and I like it because there's multiple endings to this movie. Just when you think that it could end, like you still have another like half hour left of the movie, and that's when everything really kicks in. Because I mean, he quote unquote accomplishes what he went out there to do, but then more stuff happens later. So it's like if they wanted to have a movie like that, like what the first half of it was about, him just going and performing these like quote unquote exorcisms, then you could have ended it right there, and it was just what it. But it's that last half hour or so that like really gives it its horror, its horror shine. So I really like this one, and it does have a pretty crazy ending. So
I'm trying to look it up and see, but this is not what I was thinking. Like the movie that you guys are describing. Wait, I remember a movie that's like this, but there's like this guy.
I know.
I'm thinking of the one that you're thinking of, Ken.
Yeah, and he's like streaming it, and like crazy shit keeps and you find out that like his girlfriend and his friend slept together, and
I'm thinking of this.
Oh gosh,
that
what is
he's
that one
talking
called?
about.
I know what you guys are talking about.
I feel like a jerk.
It's
I keep trying to look it up, and I feel like I'm ignoring you guys, and I'm not.
This one even has a sequel, so
yeah.
Sequels are
Is it
nearly
the
as good,
sequel?
but-
No, it's not the sequel.
No.
I don't think so. But I'm not trying to interrupt. It's just, it's driving me nuts.
No.
I want to know what that movie is, and it's making me crazy that I can't figure it out.
Yeah. So the one you're talking about is on Shudder. I think it might have been released to Shudder when it first came out. The Last Exorcism was in theaters for a little while back when it came out.
I think it was. I just looked it up, and I'm like, this is not at all what I'm thinking about.
Yes, the cleansing
hour.
Yeah,
the cleansing hour.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one. So that should go on an honorable for me.
I don't think that one's found footage, though.
Oh, it's not found footage.
I don't think it is.
Yeah,
okay, never
maybe
mind.
it is.
It might not be found footage. But it was. Thank you. That was going to make
That's
me
why it's not on my
insane
list.
until we figured it out.
So the Last Exorcism, the last thing we'll say about it is the guy is a pastor, but he's such a phony that what he does is he takes like a banana bread recipe or something like that, and he's like, look, the congregation, they'll cheer about anything. So then it cuts to him doing his sermon, and he's just reading off a banana bread recipe, very like preachy and oh yeah, and you get the blah blah blah, and everybody's like, amen. It's like, it's kind of funny. It's funny, but it kind of gives you an idea of how far this guy has gone away from his belief and stuff. So
wow.
It was. I'll always remember that part.
Yeah.
All right. My number 4 is Creep.
Number 4.
We talked about that one a little bit already.
Yeah.
Mark Duplass. And can't remember the other guy's name, but it's basically just them two, the whole movie.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that created it, directed it, wrote it. It's just two of them. Mark Duplass, his character is very creepy. I always like his acting. He does a great job in everything that he's in. And Peach Fuzz.
Yeah, that mask, which you guys need to have. You need to get that.
I know. We need one.
I've been looking for one. Nobody makes like a Peach Fuzz mask, like not an official one, at least.
Yeah.
So
right.
I want to get one though. But that, and then his little story that he tells the dude when he makes him turn the camera off.
Yeah,
that is rough. In a way, he just says it like It's so creepy. And then the end, of course.
Yeah.
is pretty good.
Yeah.
But
Even Creep 2 was really good too.
yeah, Creep 2 was pretty good. There's supposed to be a third one, but they haven't been able to get
Even-
anything great, and they don't want to put
Yeah.
something out that's not going to be great quality. So
That's
it's on
Which
hold
is
right
nice.
all
now.
for that.
Yeah,
All for
Yeah.
that. Give me the quality over the quantity.
exactly.
So yeah, if you haven't seen Creep, go ahead and check that out. I like that we're naming movies that are not super mainstream.
Oh, okay.
I'm excited about that. I mean,
Yeah.
Paranormal Activity, everybody knows about.
Yeah, I told you I'm going mainstream.
You'll be the one to give us.
I don't know. I got a couple
But-
mainstream ones too,
Okay.
but yeah.
But I think we're throwing out
But-
some good ones that people maybe
Yeah.
haven't seen. So,
Mhm.
All right.
cool. So,
Number 3.
Ken, number 3. What do you got?
My number 3 is Hell House LLC Origins. The Carmichael Manor.
Origins. Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
I like the Carmichael Manor. And again, I'm a sucker for, I don't know what it is, but there's something about anything with a TV or a picture or a laptop when something happens. There's a moment in Carmichael Manor. I'm not going to spoil it because you guys haven't seen it. This is such an amazing moment when she's on her laptop and something's happening with the laptop as she's on it. And that moment scared me. It reminded me kind of like a movie we've talked about before, It 1990, when you have Georgie's picture wink at Bill. Like that type of scary moment. Like that's what this laptop scene kind of did for me in Carmichael Manor. And it was my favorite one of the Hell House movies. And I know that's really weird. A lot of people, just like with Next to Kin and Paranormal Activity, and it's not one of those like, I'm going to be different. I don't give a shit. I'm 38. This one spoke to me more than the other ones did. And I like the whole Hell House LLC franchise. I think it's a great franchise. But the Carmichael Manor really, really, really rocked me. I think it was so good. And like the laptop scene alone, I was just like, this is fantastic. And the grandfather clock stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I really loved in the Carmichael Manor.
Clowns,
that I think is,
man.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Clowns.
I think
Oh,
is
they're
underrated.
good.
I think people, they look at it and they see it's this amount of movies in a franchise. It can't be great. And it
only
just
4.
came back. Yeah, it shocked me with how great this movie was. I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, for me, I'm definitely going to go with Hell House LLC Origins, the Carmichael Manor at number 3.
All right.
Nice.
Awesome. Good. I'm glad somebody picked that one because it's a newer one. Just came out over the Halloween season last year. It's on Shudder. Go check it out. It's
Fantastic.
good stuff.
Yeah,
Especially if you like
it
the
is
other
good.
ones.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
Number 3?
Yeah. Which we're going to have to talk. So my number 3 is Hell House LLC. But mine is the one where they're like making that
The Haunt.
Haunt,
It's the original. Yeah.
that
The
one.
first one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought it
So-
was the first one, but then I'm like, I didn't realize there were that many in the franchise. Am I
What
thinking
is-
of something else? And
Save some
I
time.
had-
That's also my third too. So we can just skip
okay,
Danny.
okay.
Sounds like a dick for doing the Carmichael Manor. I should have done Hell House LLC. So we all could have been
Well,
together.
here's the thing. I thought about doing the Carmichael Manor one because I remember that one being, I feel like possibly more scary, but one, there was a character in there that was just, I could not stand. And so that just like killed me. And I kept falling asleep. And I think part of it was my coping with this annoying character in the movie. And so I kept falling asleep, but every time I woke up, there were these clowns. And I was like, what am I waking up to? And he loved that one. So, but I loved the first one. I just loved how that was done. And it stands out to me a lot. Like I think about that movie a lot. So
It's a good Halloween time movie. What I think is the brilliance of it, what makes it scary is it's found footage, so it's supposed to be like realistic, but the place that they're in is already scary.
Mhm.
You know, they're creating this haunted house, right? So the props and everything there is already scary, and all you got to do is move that clown a little bit, you know, and then it's scary because it's a scary looking clown that moved on its own.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
Well, and that
That's all you gotta do.
basement, like once
Yeah, and the
when they
basement,
went to the
yeah.
basement scene, like oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it was just
and it seemed
Chaos.
legit with the way it was like a documentary.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then just like the footage of their, their few weeks leading up to the
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
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 And the found footage in that movie to me was so legit, like really felt found footage.
Yeah.
So they did a great job with that. So we know Joel's
Yep.
Joel's
Yeah,
just
that's
like
my number 3 too. So I'm just, you know,
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I don't really have much to add to it because it is a fantastic movie, I think. And Origin is just as good though too. So I haven't seen 2 and 3 yet. I heard
Yeah,
they weren't
me neither.
as good, but from what I've seen from one,
honestly, I think they're all fine. Like, there's not one of these movies where I go. None of them have like a Hellraiser moment where I'm like, oh, I gotta watch this fucking part 1 movie.
yeah,
You know, like
yeah,
so they all have like they all have their merits. I'll say. There's
Yeah.
like I said, there's not one where I'm like, oh man, here we go. Now I gotta watch
this.
Jason go to Manhattan and cry about his mom in a sewer. Come on. None of the Hell House movies have that type of film to me.
Yeah.
I think they're all very watchable.
Mhm.
Okay.
Cool. All right. We're on 3.
No.
Yep.
Yeah, we're on.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on 3.
I can't count to 5.
Counting to 5
Okay.
from 5.
Mine, number 3 is Paranormal Activity. It's the original.
job.
It spawned one of the most, known franchises,
Mhm.
definitely most profitable in horror. And, I like subtlety when it comes to horror.
Mhm.
Sometimes I like the over the top stuff, but this one definitely has those subtle things. I felt like the couple was realistic. Their relationship seemed like honest and real. And the way it ends, I always remember how it ends. I think everybody who's seen it will remember how it ends. And it's I mean, I don't know what else I can say. Everybody's talked about it already.
We've already talked about it.
Yeah.
But
It has the biggest jump scare of the entire movie.
yeah,
Last 2
the
seconds.
one that doesn't get enough credit though within the franchise is the Marked Ones. I think that one is really solid.
Yeah,
So
that one was pretty
true.
good.
I think people kind of fell off the bandwagon with the franchise, and then that one came out, and I don't think too many people watched it, but it connects to the first one very well.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen the other ones, you don't really need to. You can just watch the Marked ones, and it's good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
All right, number 2, Ken.
I'm not going to go too in depth about it because it's already been talked about, but my number 2 is my absolute favorite take on Dante's Inferno, and it is As Above, So Below.
Oh, nice.
This movie, oh my gosh, and it's so scary. It's claustrophobic, and you have a lot of real human emotion to go along with this movie. The stuff with her and her dad, like all the different characters. You never get a real like what they did to be there, except for the one guy that talks about his brother drowning, which is another terribly sad scene. But when you have them coming out the other end, I'm not going to get too specific for people that haven't seen it, but when you have them coming out the other end, it's just an amazing moment. And I really, really love the movie. I think it's fantastic. And it's a movie I could go on and on and on about because I've always been a big fan of the Dante's Inferno layers of hell. And for them to go through all these different layers and come out the other side it's a really, really fun watch.
Yeah.
When I saw it, I picked up on it later on in the movie, but I wasn't like figuring it out, like what they're referencing here, like what's happening. I just thought, okay, it's just scary stuff going on and they're just kind of trapped, like, okay. But I didn't connect that they're in hell. And once you make that connection, then it's like, okay, this is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, they go through the gates, so they, are.
Danny doesn't always pick up on things right away.
All right, next one. We got number 2 for Katrina.
Okay, number 2 is Blair Witch. And a big part of my love, and I'm surprised that I didn't put it in number one. But a big part of my love for this movie is what we've already talked about earlier, is the marketing for this movie. Like it was, and like they could never do this now. They could never market something the way that they marketed this, because now we do all have Google. We all have like ways to figure out if this is real, and everyone's going to be way more skeptical, where back when this came out, it was like, oh my gosh, this is real. Like, how are they even showing this? And we're like, no way, this is crazy. And it's like, it made it
gullible.
So, I know.
You think about it now, it's like, why would this be in theaters? Like,
yeah.
Well,
they're trying to find these people. Maybe it's just like an outreach thing. Like,
yeah,
hey,
it's like how you got it out there.
I mean, it came out in this. It came out in the same year that, you know, people were afraid the world was going to end with the Y2K. So everyone was very gullible.
We were pretty nervous people back then.
The world's going to end. Why? Computers.
Yeah.
Yeah. The computers are taking over.
Well, these kids are missing, and I just watched a movie about it.
Yeah, but it was crazy and scary, and you were freaked out the whole time you're watching. And
see, it was ruined for me because I knew it wasn't real when I watched it, and it's kind of like, I appreciate it now as an older adult, but when I watched it as a teenager, it was so boring. I thought it was the boringest movie. Nothing happens like most of the movie. And it's supposed to be scary, and it's just, But now I appreciate the subtleness of the things that are going on, and the, you know, how real it seems, and that last scene where he's standing in the corner is like, that's the thing. Well, and we are huge campers in my family, and so as a teenager, we went camping all the time, and so it just felt like, oh my gosh, like it was crazy.
Yeah, have you seen any of the alternate endings to the film?
Oh, I don't think so.
I think I have. No.
They chose the right one, but one of them you see the witch. So they're on YouTube. So check it out if you get the chance. They have all the alternate endings on there. It's just again, I think they went with the right one. But I love the lore of not seeing the witch. Just like in Blair Witch 2016. I love the fact that what you see is not the witch. And in the interpretation I've had, you see Heather Donahue. And have you guys seen the sequel, Blair Witch 2016?
2016, I did watch that.
I saw it when it first came out. I don't think I've seen it since, but I do remember liking it more than the original.
I did too. I did too. But yeah, it's I love the fact that we don't ever actually see who the Blair Witch is. So you can even make the argument throughout the first film that there is no witch. They're just taking Heather out there to kill her. You know, I've seen that theory out there a lot. You know, and, So again, I love the film. I've told the story before on the podcast, so if you guys have heard it before, I'm sorry, but I was a little punk rock 14-year-old douchebag when this movie came out. And I remember sitting at Sarah Tuckerman's house in her front yard, smoking a cigarette with my green Liberty spikes and my Ramones jacket. Like, that shit's real, man. Heather's my cousin. We've been looking for her for a couple months now. Like, just being a little shithead, you know, like total shithead behavior. I can admit to it now because I'm an adult and I realize that a 14-year-old Kenny Sledge was a fucking idiot. But whenever I think of this movie, I think about sitting in front of Sarah Tuckerman's house, illegally smoking a cigarette because I was 14 years old, just being like, "It's real, man. Don't watch it. Don't watch it, man. That's my cousin, and we're trying to find her, and they're just showing it, and totally blowing it out of proportion."
Wow, that's so funny. I wish I had a friend that did that.
No, you don't. That guy was nothing to do with it.
All right, Joel, what's your number two?
All right, my number two.
You look like you're gonna have a hard time saying this one.
Well, no, kind of.
He's like worried about it.
Yeah.
So it's Quarantine / Wreck.
Which one?
As number two. So I saw Quarantine.
Which one?
No, it's /Wreck. Let me.
Okay.
I don't know what this is, so.
So Quarantine came out in 2008, I think, and I remember seeing that one in theaters and thinking it was like really scary and really intense. It's a zombie movie, so Katrina, you may not like it.
Okay.
But it's a found footage zombie movie though, so I really liked it when it came out, and I still do. It's my number 2. But then I realized that there was a little movie called Wreck that came out before it.
Yes.
That Quarantine completely ripped off. Like it's pretty bad. So that's why I put Wreck in there too, because Quarantine I saw first and I saw it in theaters, but Wreck was first, and that one actually has better acting in it, I think, than Quarantine did. It's a Spanish movie. So it's subtitled, which I don't mind. I like subtitled movies, but
You killed me with both of those.
I love Wreck. I could have put Wreck on this list, honestly. Spoiler alert, it's not my number 1, but it is. It's so, the only thing that sucks is like if you watch it for the very first time with subtitles, you kind of do miss out on some things. And they totally showed the ending in the trailer, like for Quarantine and Wreck, for both of them. Like
yeah,
they showed
did.
the ending in the trailer, and then you're like, why would you show that moment? Like, 'cause even in the trailer, you're like, oh wait, that's the main girl. What do you like? What the hell?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I get it.
I remember how
I don't hate Quarantine like everybody else. I just think Wreck is it's kind of like The Ring and Ringu. I like them both, but just I feel like one's a little more superior.
Yeah, those two are different because I mean they're just two different movies completely. But Quarantine literally like is Wreck. Like it's
Wreck, yeah.
Everything down to like everything is just like an Americanized version of Wreck. Whereas Ring, I believe, is like different characters, different characters, but like different situations, and it's not all like one for one from the original, but kind of like the Psycho original and the Psycho remake, like that's completely shot for shot. That's basically what Quarantine is to Wreck. But I saw Quarantine first, and so I needed to at least address it on here. And seeing it in theaters was really intense, and like it was really suspenseful. So I did really like that one. You still do. Yeah. So
we did a review on that back at the beginning of our podcast.
Yeah, I didn't. It was you.
Yeah, you weren't there because we were quarantined.
There, no. Yeah.
Oh,
we were. Oh yeah, so you did see it.
Yeah.
Is this the one where they're in like the like what is an apartment building or something?
Apartment complex.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's like
which one did you guys
like
watch? Wreck or Quarantine?
Quarantine.
We did Quarantine.
Yeah.
Do Wreck.
Yeah.
Well, it's subtitled.
Yeah, she's.
Oh, you don't like subtitles?
Takes her a while to read.
You haven't watched like Train to Busan? Like you haven't seen Train to Busan?
No.
Me and Danny did that.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, oh my god!
Yeah,
I can't keep up with it.
When I tell you, I fucking sobbed in Train to Busan.
Yeah,
like it was those like that kind of cry in that movie. Like
yeah.
Oh, they're supposed to be doing an American remake called The Last Train to New York.
Yeah, that's so.
You're not going to capture what they did in Train to Busan. That just you guys know the moment I'm talking about. Like that moment.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I
I'm
turned to
curious
Ashley. I was like, "Why did you do this to me?"
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah,
the American version of that.
Yeah.
So it's in post production. So I mean, I don't know when it's coming out.
Yeah. But all right. Okay, so number 2 for me is Cloverfield. One of the more mainstream ones, but a theater experience I will never forget. Another one that was marketed very well. You don't really know anything about the movie going into it. You just know you're interested. I don't even think we knew it was a found footage movie when you go into it. if I remember
We knew the
correctly, there
big
was like
monster.
nothing.
I thought it was a
Yeah.
Godzilla shoot off.
Yeah. And I remember seeing that movie. It's so well done and so real looking. It is like a true found footage movie. It just is like a one running film. I like how there's like little cuts here and there where it kind of flashes to what was originally on the tape that they're taping over. But that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But I remember just leaving that theater and feeling like I was in the movie. Like driving home, like I'm like worried that something's gonna like explode or a big tail's gonna go down on the car or something, you know. Like it felt that real leaving the theater. You just were really immersed into it. And there's been a couple of other film like the Cloverfield
12 Cloverfield Lane and
Cloverfield Lane, yeah. 12 Cloverfield Lane. I did like that one, but those two are not found footage though. So I'm hoping they go back to the original because I know that there's supposed to be something coming eventually. But I really hope that they try to dive back into that with the found footage style. But yeah, this one awesome, good monster stuff, good. Just it feels so real. So
yeah, when that one came out, they were talking about already making a sequel to that, basically basically focusing on a different group of people in that kind of situation. So I know there's supposed to be another one. I don't know. I'm hoping that's what they're going to do with the next one because
I heard that they just announced earlier this year that a direct sequel to Cloverfield was in the works.
It's just.
But can we just talk about real quick the best shot of any found footage movie ever when you see the Statue of Liberty's head come into frame and then go flying down that road? Like that, even now I get goosebumps thinking about that scene because it looks so damn good. And like you have the claw marks on Lady Liberty's face and the skirts down that road. And obviously this was when we watched this, I think part of us subconsciously get transported back to September 2001 and how scary these real things that were happening were. And this movie was able to recapture that type of anxiety of what we were watching on the screen during that time and make us feel that type of fear again through a horror movie. And especially the Lady Liberty part, like that part, like when you saw that, you were just like, oh my God. And you even have like when it starts happening, like, is it terrorists? Is it another attack?
Yeah.
Like you have all the talking about it. And I love what they were able to do with that film. Like it's such an amazing, amazing movie that takes you on such a fun ride.
Yeah, that Statue of Liberty scene is how they advertised for it.
Yeah,
like, and that was like you just saw like the head of the
right at the end of the trailer. You had the head coming into frame, and you were like, "What the? No way!" And it looks even today, it holds up so well. Like found footage, it doesn't look CGI and shitty. It looks so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the cameraman too. He's pretty funny
Hutch,
throughout
baby.
the movie. Yeah, he's good.
Love Hut.
Yeah.
All right. So now we are at our number one.
On to number one.
So Ken, what is the best found footage movie to you?
Oh, look at that.
Nice.
I've been slouching down the whole movie, or the whole episode, so I didn't give it away. But
okay.
Post, absolutely.
Nice.
I think this may be one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. The way they were, and what I love about this movie is it's an hour long. They don't, there's no filler time. There's no bullshit. And the way that they were able to do like the Snapchat filters and make them work through a Zoom type thing, like Jed and Gemma, like really, really knocked it out of the park with this film. And I remember when the movie was over, just sitting there and looking at my wife and just being like, we just watched a masterpiece. Like we just watched an instant classic. I felt like I just watched Randy Savage taking on, going back to WrestleMania 3 and seeing him take on Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Like I just watched an instant classic here. And it's a movie that just stuck with me. So I literally ordered this shirt the next day. I was like, I got to do it to support this film and support the filmmakers, and
Yeah.
That's awesome.
it really did take what Unfriended did to the next level.
Yeah.
And I absolutely adore this movie. When it comes to like fear in a movie, I put this up there with like Sinister, The Dark and the Wicked, of those the first Insidious, like when you have those moments of just true droning anxiety, fear moments where you're like, what's gonna happen, please just give me a jump scare, give me a laugh, please break this tension, please. Like, and that to me is what makes movies so scary. And that's what like I said with Sinister, The Dark and the Wicked, the first Strangers movie, even like when you have those moments of anxiety that just drag for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and you're like, oh my God, do something, please give me a reason to not feel like this anymore. And Host did that on such a molecular level to me, and they're all sitting and doing what we're doing right now, and they made a masterpiece of cinema. So anytime I ever talk about found footage, this is the one that gets brought up, because it's beautifully done. It's such, I don't want to say it's an original idea, because we've had these type of films before, but to do it all through a Zoom meeting at a time when that's what we were doing, it was just perfect. It's such a great movie, and I adore the actors, the actresses. Jed, the guy that made it, he's a sweetheart, and he knows what he's doing. He's so intelligent. I can't wait to see. They also did a movie that I wasn't too fond of called Dash Cam.
And then, I was thinking of that. Yeah.
And then they had a part in The Boogeyman, the Stephen King adaptation that came out last year.
Oh, okay.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to see if they could do another original horror film. I'd like for them to go back and do another original horror film, because there's been talks of them doing another Stephen King reworking. But I hope they go back to doing original horror, because what they did with Host was just it again, it's probably lightning in a bottle. But it was a damn good thing they did with Host. So love it. When you said 5, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
I thought I saw I thought I saw Host on your shirt at one point. I thought I saw it, and then when she said Host,
I so was trying so hard to like stay punched down the whole time. So like I wasn't like giving it away. But I really, really do adore this movie. I think it's so well made, and so anxiety driven, and just dread. That's the best way I can describe it. It's just full of dread. It's a great movie.
Yeah, they did a great job with just really taking advantage of the time. And and I mean, the fact that they made that movie, you know, like they had to write that movie and then like record it and everything pretty quick to get it out during the time that we were still going through it
in that year.
And what I love about this movie is it didn't feel like there was a lot of movies that came out around this time that felt like they were pandering to the pandemic. This didn't feel like that to me. This didn't feel like
totally.
There's two movies that really capitalized on the feeling of the pandemic to me. This was one of them, and then The Harbinger was another one.
Harbinger, I didn't see that one.
We'll talk about it when we're done, because I'll kind of fill you guys in on it. But that's another one that is the idea of the villain in that movie is the scariest villain in the world to me. So
I heard about it. I didn't watch it.
Host and The Harbinger are the two that really took place during the pandemic, that were filmed during the pandemic, that mentioned in some way the pandemic, but didn't pander to the fact that, hey, that's what this whole movie's about, because you felt this way, so watch our movie. You know, it was just, it actually mattered to the plot of the movie. So and Host is just something special, man.
Very
nice.
Cool.
Okay, number 1 for Katrina.
All right, my number 1, I'm surprised is not higher on your list, Danny, is Creep. I thought it would be higher on your list. But
I love it.
But I love this movie, and that end, and the whole premise of like why he got him there in the first place, and
the tubby time. I just remembered about tubby time.
It's so
weird.
Oh man.
Just the guy, I mean, to me, it was like really believable too.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it just was, the guy was a creep. It was so weird. And
It's one of the
Yeah.
most awkward
yeah.
movies to watch.
Yeah. And found footage wise, I feel like it was really well done found footage. Like it really felt like
Mhm.
a found footage movie. And that end,
Mhm.
I mean, you can't unsee that. Like
Yeah.
it's just like so yeah,
Yeah.
we already talked about it, so I'll leave it at
Yeah.
that.
Go watch.
It's
Creep.
what happens when you find your jobs off Craigslist. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
we're
watch
not
out.
supposed to do that?
I mean, you can, I guess. I mean, it's, some people, I think, probably.
Go put my mask away, I guess.
All right, Joel.
Joel.
Number
All right.
one.
So my number one has been mentioned. It is Cloverfield. I was gonna say Cloverfield Lane. It's Cloverfield. I love this movie. It's the marketing was done very well for it, and I do remember. I don't think we were roommates yet when this movie came out, but I do remember like going home and like the power was out in my like complex, and so I went out on my balcony and like looked out to see how far it had gone. And I was just like, this had to happen the night I watched Cloverfield. Okay. it's just
Yeah.
kind of like, is this going to
timing.
happen in real life?
Are you there? God, it's me, Joel.
Yeah. And it's I don't know. It's just a fantastic movie that if you go into it not knowing what you're getting yourself into, it feels like you're just watching someone's home video for like going off to college or going off to a new career in Japan.
Yeah.
Like it takes a minute. It takes like 15 minutes before something starts happening, but it's like then it turns into a completely different movie than what you may be expecting if you didn't know what you're getting yourself into. I remember
There's some decent character development, actually.
there is.
too.
I was just gonna say, you
story.
feel like these
Yeah.
characters genuinely love each other, and the
Yeah.
part like you feel like they're genuinely friends. Like when he's like, "You can't tell anybody," then Hutch is like, "Hey, come here. You're never gonna believe what he just told
Yeah.
me." Like, you feel like they're
Yeah.
genuine, real friends. Like
Mhm.
it's so great, man. Like the friends that you went to college with, you're watching them on the screen right now.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it because of like stuff like that, the character development is so good that when someone gets killed in the movie, it actually like, at least to me, it like actually like it hits you a different way than if it was, because this is obviously like you have giant giant spider creatures like on the ground like attacking people, and you've got this giant Godzilla like creature. Obviously, this is all fake, but the way that they show the characters and like everyone's, you don't want anyone to die. Like there's not one bad character in this movie.
Yeah.
Some of them do some stupid things, I think, but overall they're still, they're still human. They're still gonna do things that, I don't know if I would go to an ex's to try to save her if she's like all the way across town. I don't know. I guess they were still in love.
I wouldn't go to
At that point. Yeah. It's on her own. But it's just, it's a little road trip inside this horror movie. And
Yeah.
When the brother on the bridge, man, like your heart is
Yeah.
shattered at that moment.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then he's got to call his mom. Like, oh man, I need
Yeah.
to rewatch this movie because you guys are talking about this, and it's just like
It's
flooding
so good.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
surprised it's not on your list, Ken. It sounds like you really liked it.
I really love this movie. I mean, I had it as an honorable mention because I tried to keep like the big ones. Like my honorable mentions, I had 5 at first, which was Blair Witch, Cloverfield, Houses October Built, The Visit, and Paranormal Activity. Like I had those as 5 honorable mentions. I tried to keep like the mainstream ones out, but
Yeah.
the more we talk about Cloverfield, the more I'm remembering like, holy shit, I love this movie. Like it's
Yeah.
so good.
I haven't ever actually seen it, so
Really?
It's
sounds
worth
like
it.
I need to see it.
We haven't
It's
reviewed
so
it yet,
worth it.
so we can do that. at some
Yeah, we
point,
haven't
for
reviewed
sure.
it yet.
There we go.
that'll be on the docket sometime. But yeah, I am so watching 10 Cloverfield Lane. I really liked it. I liked that it was different from Cloverfield, that it was not found footage film, but it was still within the world of Cloverfield. Yeah. And then they did that Netflix paradox thing where they went to space, and then I don't know. They kind of dropped the ball on that one big time. That was like
a Cloverfield movie while they were filming it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, they just added Cloverfield to the title. I'm sure.
Yeah, they went back in and reshot a couple scenes and then did that to market it after the Super Bowl, and you can totally tell. I hate when they do that shit. Like,
they're like, watch Cloverfield Paradox after the Super Bowl. There was just dropping after that, and it was what?
Yes.
Yeah. Another Cloverfield movie out?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But it wasn't really. But yeah, so I am excited about this new one that's coming out sometime. It would be cool if it came out this year, but I don't think it will. We're already halfway through the year, but like maybe next year. Next year's already looking like a pretty stacked year for horror. But hopefully that one will be on top of everything else. So yeah.
Okay.
All right. Good pick. So for me, number one is, it's already been mentioned, Hell House LLC. It's a Halloween yearly watch for me at this point. It's scary. It is genuinely scary. I feel like it's not in your face horror, but it feels real. Like I feel like it could happen. And I feel like I could be one of those people. Like I feel like this is something I'd want to do, like create a haunted house, get these props, like get people to come in and stuff and try to scare them, and then something like this actually happens. Like I could see myself in this situation more than probably a lot of the other ones of the other films that we talked about. So yeah, I mean, we've already talked about it a lot, but I think, we mentioned some movies here that a lot of people probably haven't seen. So like the House October Built, October Built.
House is October Built.
Yeah, like that one. I mentioned The Den.
Cloverfield.
And Cloverfield. Katrina needs to see. We talked about Unfriended a few times. That wasn't on anybody's list, but we talked about that. Host, talked about that a couple of times. So I feel like there's some underseen movies that are good. And found footage, it was a big subgenre for a while, especially with Paranormal Activity, kind of just dominated horror for a little bit. It's definitely fallen off. There aren't nearly as many of them anymore, but there's some gems in there that you just maybe have written off because they're found footage and you were tired of that subgenre. But there's some good ones out there. So
okay,
yeah.
I need to watch
like, I'm not a huge fan of them, but when they have a good one, I'm in. Like I'm totally have a good.
Yeah, it's a subgenre of horror that can be the scariest because if it's done well and if it can feel very real. And for whatever reason, the acting in these movies, we hardly ever get like a big name or even a moderately known name in any of these types of films, but a lot of times the acting is pretty good. And I don't know if it's just the way it's filmed, it seems more real. If I don't know, for some reason the acting's always pretty solid.
And when it's not
can be
like
more genuine.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joel.
When it's not fine. When it's not great acting, you can just chalk it up to it being a found footage. Like, these are actual people, they're not actors. Like,
they're not supposed to be actors.
So it works either way.
Yeah.
All
Less
right,
pressure, so they turn out better.
Yeah.
It's much smaller budget. All right, cool.
All right.
Well, that was our entire top 5 for all 4 of us. Ken, thank you for coming on and talking about these with us. Ken Sledgehammer Horror. Go check him out. Him and his wife Ashley put together a lot of really cool videos. You guys put out videos like like daily.
Yeah.
It seems like you guys put out something
all the time.
so often. So there's all kinds of stuff for you guys to go catch up on if you haven't
Mhm.
seen what they're doing.
Yeah,
A lot
apparently
of
we got to feed these kids we have, so we got to try to make a little bit of money.
So yeah, go support them over at Sledgehammer Horror. And yeah, that's it.
And this has been Scare Talk.
Sleep tight.
Don't let Ken bite.
Oh.
That was a good time.